Hey, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Urban EDC Gear. My name is Jeff, and I'll be your host. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this bad boy. I can't get it. Here we go. Just kidding. This is the Chris Reeve Umnumzaan. And man, is that a fun word to say. This is a cool knife. It's amazing. I believe it's been out a long time, for like 12 years. It's on loan to me from a friend, Shane. He's a really cool dude, man. He let me borrow this thing for a couple of days. Let's take a look at this thing. Let's find out how it held up after he's beaten it up for 5 years. All right, now let's roll that intro clip right about now. I'm being a little facetious, but if you were to rob somebody, you could easily just take the money and pay back your credit card. I'm not condoning the act of violence, but if you happen to get arrested and you're getting interviewed by maybe the New York Times or CNN, make sure you spell Urban EDC Gear correctly. That's URBAN EDC Gear. Just kind of work that in there. You can tell them I told you to do it, but I'm not telling you to do that. So for future reference, CNN, and if you do go to jail and I go to jail, you're going to be there quite a longer than I am. And I've actually been a correctional officer in the federal prison for about 5 years, and I can tell you, this is just a pro tip for my Caucasian friends. If you happen to go to prison, look for someone with a 3-leaf clover tattoo and just kind of, hang out with them. Go ahead and try to come up with some sort of like-minded ideology that you think they might be interested in. You're going to be just fine. I need to thank my friend Shane for letting me borrow this knife. A funny short story about that. The second day after borrowing it, I asked him a question about the knife. And his first response was, "What knife?" He honestly didn't remember what he lent me. And I said, "The Chris Reeves." And he said, "Which one?" When you ask someone about their Chris Reeve and they reply, "Which one?" you know they have a pretty extensive collection. This knife has been out for around 12 years now. You might be wondering why I'd be bothering reviewing a knife that's been around since the Great Recession. Or you might not, I don't know you, and I certainly can't read your mind from my desk. Shane says he's had it for about 5 years and beats this knife up and treats it like any other. So I thought it would be interesting to see how the $450 Umnumzaan has held up after such a time period of hard use. For this review, taking the knife's age into account, I'm going to be light on specs, as it's been reviewed to death over the past decade, but I'm going to be heavy on opinion on this one. These are my observations. The two most common things I noticed when handing this knife to my group of friends, who are a healthy mix of knife people and non-knife people, were they universally struggled to open it on the first couple of tries. And the second thing I noticed in the non-knife category was the exclamation and look of disgust at the price, and then immediately hand it back to me like I was trying to sell them a Kirby vacuum. Let us address those two issues here. First, opening the knife. It really just needs a bit of wrist flicky motion and a hard forward and thumbs up motion to open it up. But for 450 bones, we were a bit surprised. We expected a buttery smooth opening. For that much money, we expected to be voice controlled and open when shouted at. I joked, but seriously, I was kind of disappointed. It really prevented me from busting that knife nut. The joy of opening a new knife for the first time. However, while I'd love to blame this on the age of the knife, I'd have to blame it on user error. The non-knife people, well, legends say to this day they're still trying to open it up. Second, the price. I get it. If you're not into knives, it seems crazy. I mean, after all, you can buy a cool, good enough knife on Amazon for $14. So why bother? Well, it's like comparing a Ford Pinto to a Mercedes-Benz. Sure, either one will get you to work, but which one gets you there in style? Surrounded by airbags and wood grain. Which one will you look at with pride every morning you step into it, knowing you worked your ass off to get it? Which one would you take into a situation where your life, and possibly the lives of those closest to you, might depend on it? Mercedes-Benzes aren't only stylish, but they are also engineered to last by people who give a damn. You can't say the same thing about that 420 stainless steel coming out of a quality controlless factory in China. I'm not saying all factories in China are like that, but for $14, you're probably not going to get the best quality. On top of that, if you're in the knife collection business, you know that $450 is just a starting point for high-end stuff. After seeing several $1,000 custom knives, that $450 doesn't look so bad. Now that we got those two things out of the way, let's gush over what an amazing knife this is. Even though the Umnumzaan is getting on in years, it's still absolutely gorgeous. There is zero doubt in my mind why this knife hasn't changed much since its inception. This is just an absolute feat of design and engineering. I have what I thought was a handsome collection, but putting my knife collection up to this knife, granted, I love mostly all titanium and all black knives, so this isn't much of a stretch for me, but still. From the attention to detail to the materials used, Chris Reeve's design will stand the test of time, outlasting any current design trends. In my opinion, the Umnumzaan has the perfect dimensions for somebody who prefers a larger knife, without it being too large for everyday carry. The hollow ground blade is 3.67 inches long and has a cutting edge of 3.5 inches. The S35VN metal has been heat treated to 59 to 60 RC, making it flexible while still having good enough edge retention properties. In my opinion, the blade design is just pure perfection. I love the sand dune-esque style of the spine that is just finished off with the aggressive "don't fuck with me" tip. Seriously man, this is just so extremely well done. Look how the light just bounces off each contour. Speaking of this blade, I took the time to sharpen it. And man, S35VN takes a real good sharpen. It's not too bad. It's nothing like D2 or anything crazy like that. It's right up there with like M390. It's pretty soft. It's easy to sharpen. It's not going to give you a hard time. It's easy to finish off and get a nice mirror edge on. The thumb lug has polyurethane shock absorbers. These are to dull the sound of the knife opening so you don't alert your victim when approaching them from behind in a dark alley, thus ensuring a proper robbery, allowing you to pay off your discovery card after buying this knife. The jimping is mostly well done. Just a tad harsh to rub your thumb along it. It yields a great grip though, so I'm not knocking it, as I don't need to have my thumb feel warm and fuzzy when handling a knife. At 4.77 inches, that titanium handle is a perfect length for someone with about 3.5 inch wide palms like me. The engraved grip is in a perfect spot for gripping. The engraving is deep enough that it would probably take you 50 years of daily use to smooth this thing out. The Reeve integral frame lock is perfect as well. The perfect amount of resistance, travel, and thumb grip. The milled out thumb grip is chamfered just enough so that you don't feel any sharp edges while pushing it out. The over travel stop is tastefully done as well. You can see his signature logo nestled perfectly within the handle. Oh, and this is minor, but I also love how the butt of the knife fits perfectly against the contour of my palm. I can tell someone has put some thought into this, and I do really appreciate that. Looking at this knife, you couldn't tell that it was more than a few months old. It was a little dirty when I got it in some small areas, but it all wiped off easily with some flits. After that, the only thing that looks used is the pocket clip. I'm not sure what Shane does with this thing exactly, but it looks as if he's been wrestling some of my old long-toothed Tinder dates with it. I suppose if this was replaced with the new one, the knife looked brand new, which is pretty crazy. This kind of durability is easily worth the price of admission. I at least expected the shock-absorbing polyurethane O-rings to wear or snap off, but nope, they're in great condition. There have been a few changes over the years. One, around 2011, changes to the lock bar were made to make engaging the lock with one hand easier, though making the bottom of the portion of the lock bar slightly more flared, which is a common request voiced by owners on various knife forums. 2. The single most visual change was replacing the oversized custom pivot with a more traditional Sebenza-style pivot brushing. The new pivot no longer requires the Umnumzaan takedown tool, and instead, a traditional hex wrench is all that is needed to disassemble and reassemble the knife. The blade steel has also seen a minor revision. It made the change from S30V to S35VN. Man, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to find something wrong with this thing to prove that it didn't age well. Just completely scratching my brain, trying to figure out one major reason not to buy this thing. There are only 3 things that I could come up with, and 2 could be a potential non-issue for most people. The third is more of a nitpick. First, one could argue that for $450, one might expect a more modern steel like M390 for the price. The second is a lack of a tip-down carry option. Again, this could be a complete non-issue for people who prefer tip-up. The third is a nitpick really, but the thumb stud is smooth metal. So if you have greasy or sweaty hands when opening, your thumb may slip. The more I look for something wrong, the more I'm sold on buying one of these. If not the Umnumzaan, I'm confident any Chris Reeves will do. But honestly, this blade design really is the one for me. It just looks so damn cool. The subtle champering on the edge of the blade spine is just so tasteful. I plan on getting one when I hit 1,000 subs, which is my goal for this year. Subscribe. That one I'll put through the paces. Shane said I was allowed to beat this thing up, but man, I was just raised to never fuck with anybody's stuff, and I know he said it's okay, and I felt like I'd feel awful if I did something to this thing and I wrecked the blade or I nicked it somehow, and even though he said it's okay, I feel like an asshole afterwards. So yeah, this is just an observational review. I didn't cut a whole bunch of stuff. I think we all know Chris Reeve's knives sharpened will slice through anything. It's just S35VN. It's gonna cut. So anyway, that's the review, and yeah, I got a lot of subscribers to call out. So in no particular order, Harshman Hills, DM Damad, Dangerous Freedom, Broken Patriot, Full Armor Bassin, Harley Rob Patriot, American Warhorse, Turkey Leg TV, Mondoc Living, Dark Steel, Scott F, Jeff Allen Vlogs, Moose Clappin 11, Six String Gunner, Cowdog 30, Ane Gaddis, Carbonite Gamarian, JD Shadow, Dylan Cast, Downtown Destry Brown, Sethius, Chipper 2733, OSK, AD Van, Jim Knight, Andrew, Mr. Retarded Rabbit, Robin Anderson, Jennings Flippin, JB, Zach Irvin, Even Matter Dog, Flynn Fawcett, I Don't Know What to Say, Ian Thomas, Danny LaCroix, Mr. Satterell Connell, hi Anthony, E. Gator, and finally, Jumares. Alright guys, I just want to thank everybody that subscribed. It means a whole lot to me. Appreciate the support. Till next time.